This episode of Vintage Stormfront Freaks has been previously recorded. Brought to you by the AMS Weather Band. Join a community of weather enthusiasts at amsweatherband.org. The Drive Weather app. Avoid dangerous weather on your road trip at driveweatherapp.com. And Midland Radios, built for communication and made for connection at midlandusa.com. And Windstorm Products. For all your hurricane hardware needs, shop windstormproducts.com.
Joe, very cool that he's on here for tonight. Famous for competing in the finals of season 5 through 10 of NBC's American Ninja Warrior and being the last standing twice. The obstacle course expert is also notable for his work as a weather forecaster. Joe studied meteorology at Western Connecticut State University. Welcome, Joe. Awesome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So what's taking most of your time right now? Is it meteorology? Is it training? Is it what's happening?
You know, it's really split between everything at this point. You know, I have 2 kids here at home, a wife, of course, and you know, between that and training, preparing for next season, it takes a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice as well. And obviously, to answer maybe the most important question, what's going on with the weather? People ask me that all the time because, you know, from Connecticut, a lot of people watch Connecticut news, obviously. It's a pretty good market. And, you know, they're like, where are you? You know, we don't see you on air. And, well, the thing is, I'm a freelance, so I fill in. I've always had that employment status, I guess we'll call it. And I don't want to go full time because I'm 29 years old, turning 30 in a few short months, and there's no going back from that. So I don't want to really use this time to focus on weather. You know I can go back to it at 45. I really want to, but you know, this show has opened so many doors for me that I'm just keeping my foot in the door with the meteorology because obviously there's two big reasons. One, I love it. I don't want to ever get away from it because it was my first passion, really, which is kind of funny. Who would say that? You know, looking back, I'm like, wow, really? I was such a nerd. Nothing wrong with that, but and you know, it's just something I never really want to let go because of that. And so I'm not doing it for really any other reason, just the fact that I love it so much. And the same thing goes with Ninja Warrior. And I've been doing it for 6 seasons and I love it so much. I don't want to let it go. And even though my feelings about the show have changed year to year. And what I mean by that is, you know, first year I really came out to try to be the first American Ninja Warrior. And once that happened, you know, your reasons change. And I like to say this a lot, you know, your why has to be worth it, you know, if you're going to be successful out there. But, you know, we'll get into this, you know, I'm sure in a little bit. But that's kind of where I'm at.
So did you say, Joe, it's split 50-50 or as far as your time?
I would say, maybe 45% family, 45% ninja, 10% weather.
Okay. So how often are you on the air a month, I guess, or is it seasonal?
It's seasonal. It really is. The winter time, the winter months, definitely more. But I can tell you right now, last time I've been on air here in Connecticut was probably April. Just because my season, Ninja Warrior season, goes from April to, well, March, really, through the summer. And I was traveling this summer. I was probably in, I think I was in 8 states in like 2 months. I was all over the place. And I'm talking like going away for a week at a time. And it was really tough. I had a lot of issues emotionally being away from home, being away from the family that much, especially during this, you know, during the school year. My wife's a teacher here in Connecticut, especially with her being a school teacher and me being a stay-at-home dad when I'm not doing any of that and any of the weather, any of the ninja stuff. It's hard to go away when you're that guy or that person that stays home with the kids. So it's been tough. A lot of, you know, talking with people I trust to, you know, gauge how they handle things that are similar to what I'm going through and, you know, talking to the right people. And, you know, it's definitely been a roller coaster, but very thankful for all the ups and downs because it's made me stronger.
So you mentioned before you're getting ready to turn 30, which, oh yeah, that's really old. But not for weather. But what about in the Ninja Warrior side? Is there? I mean, you've been on now five seasons, 6 seasons?
Six
Do you
seasons, yeah.
do you feel it every year? Like, do you feel yourself getting stronger? Do you feel yourself going, "Ooh, man, there's a pain I never had before," or is there a healing time, or what?
Thankfully, I'm still in that time of my life where the healing is still, up to par, up to speed. I think what's changed most for me is my motivation, because to go out every season and to get nothing from it, because a lot of people don't know. And sure, I say nothing because, I'm talking purely a salary or something like that. There is no pay.
You got a nice jacket. I mean, I see your jacket. You must have gotten that out of the deal, right?
There are some perks, but honestly, the things I get like this and some of the other things, and obviously exposure, those are not direct, pay to help with the mortgage or things like that. Those things have to come on the side, and it is a career. It's kind of crazy now looking back to see the progression over the years. We have gone from what's American Ninja Warrior to, oh, I love that show. I see it all the time. I'm a huge fan. It's pretty crazy to see that and to be a part of that transition from what is that to, oh my gosh, I love that show. And to be one of the figures that have helped change it. I would feel like a lot of people have told me Casey Catanzaro, she was one of the first women. Actually, she was the first woman to ever beat the city qualifying course in her region. And then she goes on the next night, because we film back-to-back nights. It airs on TV weeks later, but it's back-to-back nights. And then that next night, she went out there and got to like the second to last obstacle in the city finals. And to put that into perspective, no woman had ever beaten the qualifying course. She had beat the qualifying course plus the extended version of the course the next night in one go, in 2 nights. So, her really breaking through helped propel the show. And that same year, it was the year I broke an obstacle, which it's so crazy looking back. I was on this obstacle. It's called the Rumbling Dice. It's this big square box, and you roll the box down a track. So it's a lot of upper body, and you have to, this is why I love weather so much. There's so much physics and math, to kind of figure out angles and how much momentum and all these other things. And I'm hanging from this box, and the rule was, this is a very important rule, you're only allowed to turn the box. You can't slide it down the track. That's cheating. We want you to use your upper body. So I thought, how can I twist these words a little bit? I'm very literal. So if you don't want me to do the sliding, I have to turn it. Well, what if I get a big swing and that swing kind of lifts me up? And once I get my body up, I can pull down a lot easier, because I'm not hanging there. If you visualize, it's kind of tricky, but think of a box, a square, and each of these corners is a bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I had to do is reach up and turn the box, and that would move me down the track. And so what I decided to do was I decided to swing a lot, and that swing, as I turned it, would actually slide it, and that was okay. I had a little too much power. I'm the weatherman. Got some.
I get that all the time too. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Of course, you guys know all about it.
You were grounded a lot when you were younger, weren't you?
Yeah, that was for other reasons, I think. But either way, I had a lot of energy, as you can tell. So what ended up happening was I actually pulled this obstacle off of the track, even though the track had like these 2-inch metal barriers that this box was rolling behind. I somehow got my swing crooked. So as I rolled it, I rolled over the track. Thank God there were safety cables on the thing, because it weighed about 100 pounds. If that had fallen on my head, I'm getting excited. I'm smacking the microphone. If that had fallen on my head, it would have been very bad. But thankfully, ATS, the guys that designed the course and built it, very smart people, they were prepared for something like that. So it broke. That went viral. I had weather, junkies and meteorologists reaching out from across the country, just saying, "Oh my gosh, have you seen this weatherman?" And it was really cool. I actually got to talk with Al Roker. I got to be on the Today Show, and we had a little segment on Wake Up with Al. So it was fun. I tried to get him involved. He didn't really want to get involved. I understand. He's got a good career. There's no reason to stray from that at this point. But it's just been a crazy ride. So that year, season 6, was really the year that changed everything. And to be a part of that, it's pretty cool.
It might be fun to see Roker on the course once, just to.
It would be.
That would be.
He has come a long way. He used to be he used to be pretty overweight. And now he looks great. So I think he has a daughter, and I'm sure, her growing up kind of motivates him to get into shape too. Cause I see it in my kids all the time. I want to be, the best I can be for them. And I'm sure he feels the same way. So yeah, it's cool stuff.
Well, good. Well, quick on that note, we're going to take a quick break. Go ahead and we want everybody to get a chance. Refill your drink. When we come back, we'll be back with Joe. We'll talk a little bit more about how you find a way to make an income when they don't pay you and you're freelancing, right? We'll be right back. All right, so we're back here with Joe Moravsky. And we were talking a little bit, Joe, about money and income. And, we're asking you, like, where do you spend most of your time? Is it weather? Is it Ninja Warrior work? And you said it was really, what'd you say, 45 family, 45 Ninja Warrior, 10 weather as of right now.
Yeah.
But so here's my question, because my understanding is NBC doesn't allow, and I would assume the USA Network too, because you've done some shows there too, but they don't allow sponsorship. And my understanding is there's no prize money unless you complete stage 4 in the finals. Is that right?
So that has been essentially the rules over the years. This past season was the first season that had changed, actually. So
what part changed?
So to win the $1 million, you have to beat the entire course. No falling.
Okay.
Now, if you fall in the city finals, but you make it to Vegas, that's okay. But I'm talking if you fall in Vegas, you're out. To win the $1 million, you cannot fall. You cannot lose in Vegas. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? In Vegas, how you're not going to lose. So, but either way, this year was the first year they decided to give a consolation prize of $100,000 to the last ninja standing. So, which really upset me about that. Because
you did it previous to that,
I've done it
right?
twice previously, and I've gotten nothing from it. So I get it. I'm very happy it's there. I'm not complaining. It's just, oh man, it would have been nice. It's 4
I'm
years
sure they
ago.
gave you a shirt. I mean, didn't you get a shirt that says "I was the last ninja standing"?
Wow. They should. That'd be nice, right? No.
So then here's my question. So you kind of again you pointed out the fact that unless you win everything, right, you're out of the money. So why do you keep doing it? How can you keep doing it?
Well, yeah, if you look at just, the money, of course, you can't really sustain a family, a house, cars and all that stuff just on the show. There are some prizes, if you go top 3 or top 5, I think it is actually, in the city rounds, you can actually win a few $1,000 here and there. It's not, tens of thousands, but it can be if you do really well. And what I mean by that is they also added something new this year. It was called the Mega Wall. It was an 18-foot warped wall. So the wall, it's not straight up. It's curved. It has this gradual incline. It goes completely vertical, and then it cuts back just a little bit. Not too dangerously, so you're like really risking injury. But excuse me. So they added that. If you get to the top of that only one try, you get $10,000. So I think the most amount of money you can make from a city qualifying and finals course, a regional course, is like $18,000, which is great. But that's if everything goes right. You get first place both nights, and you get the Mega Wall. I ended up getting only a few thousand this year from the show. I think it was like $7,000, which is good. You get it.
That's all right.
You get a check in the mail, and you're like, all right, that's
for how long are you out there? How long are you out there for?
4 days. So $7,000 in 4 days. But
Okay.
it's not about me. Like I love being able to make money on the show, of course, but there are so many ninjas out there that deserve money,
Right.
for all the time that they put into this. And I feel bad for people like that, where I come in and kind of take that from them. I've always said it should be not about how fast you go or place you get in. There could be incentives, of course, for that. Let's say you get top 3, you maybe make an extra few $1,000, but I think it should be, if this is a game show like they want it to be, right? Because they pay like a game show. It's not a reality show. We're not getting paid reality star money, Jersey Shore or something ridiculous, or, crazy amounts of money. We're getting game show amounts of money here. So why don't we make it a game show? Let's say if you beat a city qualifying round, if you just beat it, you get $4,000. I don't know, because we're trying to make this for, you make a living for everyone that is serious about it. The people that come out for the first time, they mess up, they don't deserve it as much as somebody like a Ryan Stratus or Brent Stephenson or any of these guys that have been doing this a very long time. David Campbell, the Godfather, they call him, because he's been doing it since season 1. Those are the people that don't really get top 3 anymore. Some do. But the point is, they have dedicated their life to this. They should be able to make a living, or at least some money. They don't need to be top 5 to do that. There should be some sort of tiered payout. You beat city qualifiers, you get a few thousand. You beat the finals, which, to put it in perspective, maybe 3 people ever beat the city finals course. So that should be a good amount of money. If you beat a city finals course, maybe 10 grand, and that's, I think
Do you see this coming? Do you see that coming? Is that coming down the pipe or not? What do you think?
So we just have to remember as ninjas, as the talent, I guess, Matt Nockbar and Christine Leahy, they're the main talent of the show, but I guess they would be considered the talent. We would be considered the stars of the show. But either way, I want it to change. I just feel like, and not even for me, because I'm making a living off of it. I want it to be for everybody else that doesn't have the opportunity that I do. I've been very fortunate, lucky, blessed, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just trying to make the people that are struggling, out there to make ends meet, they run their own gym, or they're trying to open a gym because they love this so much. There should be some sort of payout for them. So that's kind of what I've been hoping for. And I think it's coming. I do. I just think we need to work together to, let the show know that that's what we want.
Are you allowed to have your own gym or train other people on how to do this?
Yeah. I think the only real restrictions there are the word usage. I can't use Ninja Warrior Training Grounds as the gym title,
Okay.
Something like that. Now, I think technically I can't even call the obstacles by their name, because I'm pretty sure those are trademarked from Japan, because this show originally aired, not the American Ninja Warrior version, but
in
the show
Japan,
Ninja
right? Yeah.
Warrior was a Japanese show, by Tokyo Broadcasting Systems, or TBS, whatever that is. And so they own everything. NBC licenses that, and so.
But you have a gym. You have a gym, right?
I actually don't. I don't.
Oh,
have
you
a gym.
don't.
No,
But do you train?
so
But you
many
train.
different gyms. Oh, I'm at so many different gyms. I'm going to be
Right.
San Antonio in 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Cleveland the week after that. I'm going to be in Long Island.
So you getting appearance fees for that?
I am. Yeah, I have an
Okay.
agent right now.
That's what
Cool.
it is.
And it's been great. Yeah, my agent and I, Kevin, we hooked up this past spring, and we kind of tested the waters at first, because I had an agent before him through IMG, which is a pretty big agency. But I noticed that the bigger agencies, and I've heard this tossed around, and I believed it, but I didn't want to believe it because it just sounds cooler to have the big guys represent you. But people always told me, you know what? You don't really want to go with the big guys unless you're a Tiger Woods or, Michael Jordan or somebody, because they care about you. And I'm not saying IMG didn't care about me, but I was definitely a small fish in a very big pond. So
You need Jerry Maguire. I'm just saying.
yeah, I know, right? So I'm working with Kevin out of Ninja Coalition now, and he actually started the business for us, for the Ninjas. So myself and a few others work with him, and it's been great. We were just down in California doing some fire relief for the Redding fire, which was in Northern California, and also the Paradise fires. We were just kind of trying to give back a little bit. So we had a course built, and we were inviting all the victims or the families of victims and everything. And victims, the people that lost their property and houses and cars, we let them come for free and just play and get to meet us. And some were big fans of the show, and some just wanted to come and play.
Cool. Have you ever had the urge to throw on a nice black ninja outfit and hood and do the weather?
I've had so many ideas.
Looking like
man.
a ninja.
I don't even know if I want to give away all the ideas I have.
Oh, there's got to be some. Well, who else is going to use them? Who else
you
is
never
going?
know. There might be an up and coming weatherman just graduating. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to do that.
I'm going to be a ninja warrior.
It becomes his move.
That's all right.
I'll tell you one.
Okay.
I've always wanted a backflip live on TV, and giving the weather. Not just talking like
into the chroma green.
Right, the chroma key. I don't know how I would incorporate it. That's the problem. I wanted to develop a system. Something, because the weather is weather. If you're not a nerd like myself, you just want to know what the 7 days looking like, and then that's it. You know what I mean? For the weather weenies that are out there, they care more about, the why. So I figured, why not make it a little more entertaining? Maybe on a severe weather day. Although I can see how this wouldn't work because of, he's not taking his job seriously.
Yeah,
so that's why
really.
I did it. But I thought about, what if I can incorporate something like, it's going to be a one flip day. Where what's the one flip mean? And so I generate some sort of key.
Oh.
It never came to fruition because I realized really quickly, like I just said, I don't want people thinking I'm a joke out there.
Right.
I'm serious. I'm a scientist coming out giving the weather story to people. So that was the only issue. I'll figure it out.
Do it on daylight savings time. You spring forward.
Yeah, right. Daylight saving time.
Listen, I'm drinking. Everything has an S. Listen, Joe's.
It's the only thing that bothers me because I found out so incredibly late, not as late as you, unless you just forgot. I'm sure we're just going to say that. But either way, I found out like 3 years ago that I've been saying it wrong all these years. Daylight saving time. And it just bothers me so much. So I just try to correct people.
So being a freelance, so you're not tied down to any particular station.
I am not.
Have you because of the publicity, have you gotten any other requests for doing some work?
Yeah,
elsewhere?
I've had a few offers at Fox, and there was a local station here. They have a good amount of views though, because they're not like the station I'm at now, where it's very isolated to. My station I'm at right now is a cable station.
Okay.
So they kind of fill in because the market here in Connecticut is very strange. The Fairfield County, which is the southwesternmost county, it's right next to New York City. So New York City technically has that part of their DMA. So Connecticut markets don't generally pay as much attention to Fairfield County. So that's where News 12 came along. So we have tens of thousands of viewers, but it's not like NBC or Fox or any WTNH, which is the other one that was kind of interested in me. But I told them straight up, I would love to, but I'm 29 years old. And my goals right now are to not be a full-time weatherman. I'm not going to be as successful on American Ninja Warrior, guaranteed. It would be like having a whole nother child, because that's how much time would be involved in that job. You guys know. So
you just got to find the right spot. I remember Fox Philly offered me a 2-day gig for pretty decent money, but it wasn't enough to sustain a family for me. But they're like, hey, you could spend the other 5 days doing whatever you want. And I'm like, oh man, I got a wife and child. And, yeah, it was very tempting.
Had they had Ninja Warrior back then, you probably would have done that for the other 5.
Oh yeah, he would have.
You would have. No, I'm being serious.
Are you seeing this body? Are you seeing it?
No, well, this would have been back then, right? Well, hey, so that's a good point, and that's maybe what I want to finish on, Joe, with you. Is let's talk 5 years from now. What are you thinking? Which is hard, because I would guess 10 years ago you wouldn't have been thinking, well, Ninja Warrior, and so I'm sure that's hard. But what do you think? 5 years from now, what are you thinking? Where you're at?
Well, I do have something in the works right now that I have not released publicly. But
hey, no better place than Stormfront Freaks podcast, right?
Right. I can't say too much about it, but let's just say there's a TV show hosting opportunity for me, and so we're gonna see where that goes. We myself and the team have really good connections to some pretty amazing people that work on TV that you would know if I said their name, so I can't say.
Your wife will kill you if it's The Bachelor. I'm just saying.
Oh, actually, what's funny about that? No, it's not. Oh
no! Really?
No, the first Bachelor that came out. Man, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name right now. I can see her face. I wonder. I was gonna look at my phone, but I'll figure it out later. Either way, she's a big fan of the show, and her husband, who was the Bachelorette, actually, he was the guy that married the Bachelorette. He actually was on the show this year in Minneapolis, where I was taping, and I met her. She's a good friend of Megan Martin's. I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. It's going to drive me crazy. Hang on. Let's see if I can type in context. I'm going to do Bachelor.
It's just in context.
Yeah. I'm so glad I save little comments next to people's names in here. Trista Sutter.
Okay.
She was the first Bachelorette. So she's a big fan of Ninja Warrior. And I had no idea. So super cool family. I have 2 kids, but either way, that's the only Bachelor connection I have. That's for sure.
Okay.
I'm not getting involved. Sorry, I'm already taken.
No, that's all right.
Sorry,
okay.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Let's fast forward. Let's fast forward 10 years from now. 10 years. You're starting to show a little gray. You're like Maz. You're not recovering as quickly as you'd like to.
What the heck?
You're just getting picked on today.
I know.
I'm just saying. Yeah, Brady's not here. That's why. So 10 years. Where are you thinking 10 years?
Oh man, it really depends on how these next few years go. I wish I can say. I could tell you plans that I have. One of them obviously being hosting a host of a show. That'd be great. Winning the $1 million prize on American Ninja Warrior. If I do it this year, that could change a lot of things too. I would love to invest. I would love to, if all else fails, I don't want to make it look like a backup. I'm talking if all else fails, meteorology included, I would love to be a teacher. I always wanted to go back to high school and be a sport, coach, basketball, baseball, especially.
Bravo.
My high school had asked me for soccer, baseball, and basketball to come back and coach for them. And I would have loved to, but at the time it just wasn't going to work. And now, especially, it's just too hard with my travel schedule. I would have to commit many months to that. And, it's just not worth it at this point in time, but I would love to. So that's like an ultimate fallback plan, go back to school and get my degree or get what I need to, teaching certification wise, to be in that field.
Could you teach?
It would be cool.
Win that $1 million and you might be able to afford to do it.
That would be, give me the love, right?
Then you could be a teacher, right? Yeah,
exactly.
So this is John Belski, a meteorologist in Louisville, and he wrote the book called Backyard Weather Folklore.
It's an awesome book.
I love this book. And I really, a lot of the stuff in here were sayings that you hear when you're like growing up. Like I think the red sky at night, sailor's delight, red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. I mean, I grew up in the Great Lakes in Ohio and grew up on a boat. So these are things I always heard. And it was a lot of fun to read these. And what struck me too was that there were so many different things that you wrote about, whether it was like flowers or birds or dogs or roosters,
cats.
Like this. Yeah. Cats. There's cats and coffee. I love the coffee one. But John, this seemed like it took a long time. Like how long did it take to write this book?
Well, it actually, by the way, hello, everybody. Hello. Good to see you all. You all are great. This is amazing experience here. I've thought about this for years. Many times over the years, I was doing speeches to groups, and especially towards seniors, the elderly groups, I would do a weather folklore presentation. And I had started following folklore probably back in my teens, hiking outside a lot, and discovered this old book at the library one time, and I started following the weather signs outdoors. But back to these speeches, I would do a presentation. They always say, "Hey, you got to write a book, Belski." And so after so many years, I decided to write the book, and it took several months, here and there doing it, and just kind of sold it out of the home. Did not go through a publisher. Did one of these self-publishing things, and what we have done is, other than recouping our printing costs, so every penny of this book is sold. We've sold about 10,000 copies. We've donated to charity.
Wow.
So,
nice. That's nice.
So it's great. And my goal is just, everybody, especially if you're a meteorologist or a weather freak or whatever, we all know about the models and the radar, and the Weather Channel, everything, that's great. But I wanted to kind of share. How did they do it back in the 1700s or the 1800s? How did they get the weather back then? And, this was kind of like just a pet project of mine, and I'm glad to share it with folks.
Great. And you have a lot of, I've looked at your bio. There's a lot of great things on here. You have a regional Emmy for severe weather coverage. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
The National Mark Trail Award. You were the first meteorologist in the country to present a 14-day forecast. I mean, that's really cool.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question on that, John. Sure. What kind of heat or what type of crap have you taken for being the first meteorologist to be the 14-day forecaster? Because that's
thanks a lot, buddy.
I know. Maz, thank you very much. Or should I say Mr. Maz? But listen, no, here's the deal on that. It got to the point, when the internet came about big, because again, remember, when I started my weather career, my first weather job, we had a glass board in front of a map and a marker, and for 5 minutes you had to draw everything up there, and we had a teletype, and that was it.
That's awesome.
But nowadays, it's almost an overload of information. But when we started the internet and the phones and everything, everybody could get their long range forecast, on the different sites. But none of the TV stations were saying, they'd go out 5 days, 7 days. But it's like, well, if I can get it on my phone or on the on my desktop, 14, 20 days out, why not do that? So I didn't do the thing where you say, oh, here's the GFS and I'm just taking those numbers off it or whatever. It was, I didn't want to do that. And I kept it general. Like after day 7, I would say 80s and 70s and 60s, kind of the trends. But it caught on.
Light and dark and then light.
Well, we're pretty general. But I was at a meeting where we had all the meteorologists from our chain together, and the consultants, the consultants were there, and the consultants said, the best thing going right now is Belski's 14-day forecast. Well, the GMs loved it, but all the on-air meteorologists, they hated it. This is something different. It says because you just can't forecast accurately out there. And I says, well, at least you can try. And I think if it's available somewhere else, my feeling was you had to offer it because they're not going to get their weather from you. I mean, that's one of the reasons Weather Channel is so successful, because there's so much there that you can get that you either don't have the time on a regular weather forecast, or the local stations just don't take the time and trouble to offer that information. So
a lot of us still have the Belski dartboard. I'm just saying.
Oh.
I did that with my snowstorm. There was a snowstorm coming, and there, you know how the hype is with the snows, and especially in Louisville, where an inch or two is a big deal. And I had an outdoor weather studio, so I just set this dartboard out there. So I said, "Here's how we get the forecast," and I threw it. It came out 1 to 3 inches, which was the forecast anyway. But man, the guy, the newspaper writer, the TV writer there, he was not happy about that. I was just having some fun.
How did the viewers like it? I mean, did they ever give you a hard time? Did they like it?
The 14-day forecast?
Yes.
Oh, they loved it. I tell you who loved it the most. Farmers, contractors, people who worked outside. I would even get calls and emails from people like from the highway department saying thank you, helping us plan ahead. Nice. And, even if it wasn't exactly correct, if you could alert people that maybe, 12, 13 days down the road, there's like a major cold wave coming in, I think it can help, various agencies and people, make their plans accordingly. Again, I'll be the first to say, it wasn't always accurate. I mean, I'd love to say, hey, I was right 100% of the time.
We all want to say that.
Yeah. But only on April 1st can you say that. Yeah.
And that makes sense. Because, Dina, like at the Weather Channel, people love their extended forecast. They will wait around for that. Mm-hmm. So a 14-day, you can get 2 weekends worth of planning in there if you want to head out and do a trip. It's great.
Right. We get a lot of like brides calling. A lot of brides. And
weddings.
They're planning for the weddings and stuff.
Oh my God. A lot of time that's more like 6 months in advance. So they start getting nervous about that far out. But the 14-day was great. And the thing is, a lot of people that I work with didn't want to pick up on it, so I was kind of left out, hanging on the limb, so to speak. So sometimes I came crashing down. But it was good.
John,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Oh no, you're good.
I was just going to ask. So I mean, what do you think about AccuWeather and their 45-day forecast they offer, or do they still offer that on their website?
It's actually now a 90-day.
It's
actually
don't ask Brady. There. Bias.
Because my background is I interned at AccuWeather this summer, so it's now a 90-day, and I actually had a couple of conversations with.
Is that why you're wearing that Penn State jersey there instead of Ohio State? Or?
Oh no, this is a Cavs.
You don't have a Penn State shirt on, do you?
Hey, this is a Cavs all the way, everybody. I saw LeBron James and Blaze Pizza. That's another time. Anyway, but yeah, it's what they're doing is they know it's not 90 days out. They know it's not completely accurate, but people want that information and they want to be able to see a number. If it's just a trend, even, I like the idea of a trend over a number. But it's something no one else is doing, and while it may be a little inaccurate, I don't know. It's
like a little inaccurate.
Well, okay.
I'm teasing.
People want
to missed that one by 34 degrees. 17 days out, but yes.
It's like when the GFS of the Euro, big hurricane, like 360 hours out.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Brady, I was going to say, Brady, you said that it was something no one else is offering, and that's what I always tried on the TV. I always look for something that no one else in the market was offering, And if you tried it and it worked, it was great. And if it didn't work, at least you tried it, and you're not doing the same old thing day after day. So
is there a limit to that? Like, what's like getting to? I mean, 360-day forecast.
Oh, no, I don't mean in any terms of something like that, but just trying different things on your weather shows. I've done it all over the years.
And make sure you preface it and say, hey, there's still a lot of uncertainty. Absolutely don't say, hey, day 90, this is going to be the weather. You have to make sure that
major hurricane.
Yes. Day 90 major hurricane, tornado outbreak.
I always hate going into a snow. I was saying, you're going into a big snowstorm, and it's actually starting to snow, and you're still saying there's still a lot of uncertainty with this, and you want to say that on the air, but you can't say it. But,
Brady, that's good advice he just gave you for your interview tomorrow. Like, do something no one else is offering. That's good advice.
Yes. Hey, I've got to do a live show tomorrow, so they're gonna put me on the green screen. So maybe I'll talk about some hurricanes.
I wonder if I can get online and watch it. I'll comment. Can I make comments? Can I make comments?
I don't think they're gonna put it on the website. They have to hire me before they actually put it out.
Oh, too bad.
Oh,
all right. Hey, John, I've got a question for you. You're obviously a beloved Louisville, Kentucky character and person that's been there. You've been there over 30 years?
I started in Louisville in '79.
Okay.
So, 37 years. Yeah.
That was about 11, 12 years before I was born.
So
not trying to put in perspective here. I'm just throwing it out there.
All right. So I'm going to ask a difficult question, because there seems to be what happened. There seems to be something that happened between your two stints with WLKY. What happened there?
Oh, why did I leave them and go over to Wave TV?
And then why did you? How'd you come back? I mean, something happened there, I want to know.
Give us a dirt.
Curious minds want to know.
I'd worked at WLKY for like 8 years, was enjoying it, but the news director, I guess, had been let go, and my contract ran out, and no one had approached me, so it's like I didn't know what was going on or anything, and they said, we'll get back to you whenever we're interested in you. And some other out-of-town prospects came up, which I was getting ready to take, and then all of a sudden I got a call one day, because I got kind of, how run-ins with management can be. But to make a long story short, at the last minute, Wave called from across town and said, hey, look, come work for us and you don't have to move. So I ended up doing that. And I worked there for a while and decided to get out of the business due to some health issues, and back in it part-time now, and back to my roots. He's back to his roots at WLKY.
Wow. Cool.
So having a good time.
Good story.
So there's nothing real. I was hoping for some juicy.
No.
Put some people under the bus. Don't you have someone you want to put under the bus?
He'd pushed LKY to number 1. So it was time to go someplace else and help them become.
That's right.
Well, I worked in an NBC affiliate when NBC was like the number 4 network for at least 10 years.
Wow.
And of course, I leave, and then they get The Voice and all these other shows. But it's anybody in the business knows.
Once upon a time.
Yeah, but leading into your late news, if you have like a 1 rating, it's like, oh yeah, you're really going to pull in some big numbers tonight.
That's when you get crazy.
Time, that's ABC, isn't it?
Yeah, Once Upon a Time's ABC.
No, just look over that. It's fine.
Yeah,
all right?
say that in your interview.
Yeah, really.
John, there was one.
The good thing about Lima is they're all 4. They're Fox, ABC, NBC, and
and Kumbaya TV, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Kumbaya.
Hey, John, I had one question, too. I was looking at your bio, and the one thing that looked cool is that you were invited to the White House to meet President Clinton and Vice President Gore for discussion on global warming. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, this was like back in the mid-'90s, somewhere around there, and they invited about 50 or 60 TV meteorologists from around the country, and I was fortunate enough to be invited. I didn't care much about talking about global warming at the time, but who's going to turn down an invitation to the White House? But they both gave a speech. President Clinton came out, gave a great speech, 15 minutes, and then Vice President Gore talked for like an hour. And and he tried to convince. There was a give and take back and forth. But to me, the most interesting thing was, well, maybe not the most interesting thing, but here's a sidebar: is I was flying home that night, so I was flying through Atlanta to go back to Louisville, and so I'm between flights, and I guess it's the CNN airport network was up on the screens there. And I looked up, and there I am on TV. They were doing a story about the meteorologist visiting with the president, and they're panning the crowd, and there I am on TV. So that was pretty cool.
That happened to me once, but it was America's Most Wanted. So.
Question: will you find reference in Hillary's emails to any meteorologists? Any classified information?
I check with me after election day, and I'll let you know on that. Okay?
I was trying to avoid getting into politics like we usually do on this
Way
show.
to go.
All right. Hey, I want to jump to the book.
Thank you.
John, you are the king of puns. I'll tell you that first and foremost. Anybody that wants to read some good puns and add to their repertoire, definitely a good book for that. But one thing I noticed is that cats are worse at predicting the weather than dogs.
Not exactly.
I did notice that, Brady. But curiosity,
Sorry, Brady.
What's the best animal at predicting the weather, John?
Well,
in your opinion?
Well, an animal, or would we include insects in this category? Or?
Yeah. What the heck? It's
well, for animals, they're
part of the animal kingdom.
I think for animals, I think cows are the most accurate for animals. And there's various, my favorite one with dogs is also the pretty accurate one, where the dogs, can hear thunder before humans can.
Really? Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
This keen sense of
super
hearing.
sharp hearing. Yep.
And most dogs, at least I know my dogs are like this, but most dogs do not like thunder. Get all shook up there, and if it's bad enough, it upsets their tummy. And so, what does a dog do when it has a stomach? Dog eats grass. So I always say, if you're outside on a summer afternoon, and maybe not just one dog, but if you notice 2 or 3 dogs eating grass, that's a pretty good sign that there's going to be a thunderstorm in your area within the next hour or two.
Wow. How did you get all this? This is like, I read this book and I was like, and then you had the one I liked, like birds will swarm before a change in the weather. Right. And I'm like, how did you figure all this out?
Well, I did a lot of research, and my favorite place was at the Indiana University Rare Books Library. And they had a couple of books back in the written in the 1700s. And what I would do, I would write all these sayings down, and then go out in the woods, or keep an eye on the weather for months, and come up with it, because that's what I did in this book. I graded every phrase from A to F for accuracy. So like C is like, as I say in the book, it's a flip of the coin. Yeah, it could be right, could not be right. It's there. Where some are going to be wrong more than they're right, and if it's an A or B, it's going to be right more than it's wrong. The number one weather saying, though, overall of all weather sayings, is the spider, and it's an outdoor spider. In the summertime evening, you'll notice them fixing their webs back up. They're repairing any damage that was done during the day, and if they do that, that means no rain that night or the following day. If they leave the web, the new territory, then it means it's going to rain. Very high accuracy rate. One time we were having a drought, and we have this real nice flower garden in our backyard. There's a spider that was in this one area for like 27 straight days. Had not rained. Every night, that daggone thing was out there. And then one evening, he was gone.
Really?
Next morning, big old thunderstorm. First rain in 28 days. So I mean, nothing's 100%, but this is pretty close as far as weather folklore sayings go, is the spider.
And that kind of raid didn't help either.
That's
right?
cool. Yeah.
I like the one
John,
too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay, so John, let me tell you why I loved your book. So you basically validated the way that I forecast weather a lot of times. So Phil mentioned I'm storm chaser. So it's like I go out, and when I take all these students with me, I tell them to leave their textbooks at home. One, they've had their noses in books all year. Two, there's no room in the vans. Like, we don't need that extra weight. But the point is to teach them how to forecast severe weather using all of their senses. And people laugh at me when I first tell them, storms can smell different. They feel different. Everyone thinks they just look different. So there's all these different signs to storms that you can just use all of your senses for. So I'm reading through your book, and, you mentioned the cows, and I'm just like, yes, 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 because I've seen all of these out there in the field, and they blame it on Hippy Dippy Catherine, but I'm like, guys, these like these.
Write that down.
Well, and whether it's plants or animals, though, a lot of this is based on changes in the air pressure or changes in the moisture in the atmosphere. Yeah. When a cow tries to scratch its ear, it means a shower is very near. When it thumps its ribs with its tail, look out for thunder, lightning, and hail.
Right.
There we go.
Great. And
but a storm makes animals very agitated. So.
And there are a lot of cows in the plains, so you got those natural signs all over the place.
Yeah, I think I've got like 28 or 29 weather sayings with cows in the book there. So,
oh, really?
I heard from a farmer one time. He actually keeps a copy of the book out in his barn, and if his animals start doing something weird, he'll pull it out and look it up to see if that means it has something to do with the weather there.
That's
awesome.
I like that you had so many different animals.
It's crazy.
Roosters,
yeah,
and you had
awesome.
dolphins. So it's like everything for different, wherever you live, you can apply it.
The book was meant locally here. There's not so many dolphins in the Ohio River, but we've sent these out to like almost every state in the country, people with gifts and stuff. So we've, sent them to Florida and so forth and so on. So I try to include a few, with the oceans in there.
The other thing I like about your book, John, is you do have some little stories in there of your years on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So just tell us a little bit about the night you swore on TV.
Oh,
we here on the podcast, we usually try to avoid that. Sometimes we don't get away with it, but tell us about the night you swore on live TV.
Whoa,
they yell at me all the time for swearing, John.
I don't. I don't even remember that. Right? I can remember.
It wasn't you.
I can remember cussing on the radio.
The key is it wasn't you. You didn't really swear, but apparently.
Okay. I know what story. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay. It was. We had a tornado warning going.
Shit. I'm sorry.
I love this story.
There it is.
All right. It was a late night Friday night, 2:00 in the morning, and we had a tornado warning in effect for the Louisville area. And we only had, there was one other weather person there, Craig Edwards. Craig is down in Nashville now, does mornings in Nashville. Nicest guy, loved working with him. But so I had handed it off to him, and I ran over to the newsroom to check at the desk there, the scanners, to see if there's any damage. And so when I came back into the studio, I forgot to turn my mic on, my wireless mic. So instead of them, and Craig walked off. So you see me on TV, and my mouth's moving, but the voice is fading. And so instead of them just yelling out, "Hey, John, turn your mic on," nothing. They turned Craig's mic all the way up. So he walked over next room over, which is the old printer room. Remember they?
Oh no!
Well, the printer that typed out all of our warnings. Because again, this is back in the 90s, so this is not internet days where you got laptops everywhere and stuff. That typed out all our warnings. Remember, we're in the middle of a tornado warning right in Louisville, and the paper had jammed, so we didn't know if we'd missed a warning or what. So, but all you hear, you see me on TV pointing to the radar, but you hear, the printers, and then Craig takes his fist, slams the printer, and yells out, "Son of a bitch!" Real loud. Well, people are home down their basements watching on TV, scared to death, and they see me, and I didn't know what had happened. No one had told me it had happened. Everywhere I went the next day, "Hey, Belski, heard you cussing on TV last night. Got a little excited during that tornado warning." It's like,
and it wasn't even you.
It wasn't even me, because that's why I was trying. When Phil said that, I was like, I don't remember cussing on TV. It was like, well, it wasn't me, but people did think it was me.
That's what you just say. I was talking about a sandy beach. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you the craziest story, and this has nothing to do with folklore, but this is one where it got me on national TV. I was doing a live shot. I did a lot of live shots over the years, and one night we went to a church picnic. Huge crowd there. It's like 2,000 people there, and so I always like to show the people on TV, kind of get involved before we got into the weather part. And so we showed the people, and I was standing by the dunking booth. So I threw the ball. I was like, I got to get this guy in the water, and then I'll do the weather. So I throw the ball, and I missed it. And I was like, it's a man thing. I guess I was embarrassed. So I'm thinking, I got to go get this. So I started running toward it.
We would have been embarrassed too.
Okay, thank you.
I promise.
I feel much better now. But I thought I'll just hit the target and put him in the water and get off the weather. Well, I didn't realize that, he'd been there all evening. So there's water and mud everywhere. So I hit this mud. I fly up in the air on camera and fall flat on my back.
Oh, no.
So something in my brain is still thinking, I got to get this guy in the water. So I crawl on all fours, reach up, hit the target. He falls in the water. This water comes up, splashes all over me. So I go to wipe the water out of my eye, and I got mud all over my hand. So now my clothes are covered in mud. Now my face has mud all over it.
Oh my God, this is like a
And then, of course, I had to do the rest of the weather like that. But it made the Dick Clark blooper show. That's my claim to fame on national TV, other than being on CNN from the White House, being on Dick Clark's blooper show there.
That's some perseverance, though. I got to hand it to you.
I don't know what it was about getting that guy into the dunking booth. It was like, forget the weather forecast. I got to get this guy.
Yeah. You were serious about that. That was great.
It was the old Queen song. You got mud on his face, a big disgrace.
Wait, what song? Wait, who's Queen?
All over the place.
All over the place.
Who's Queen?
We will rock you. Come on, Brady.
Brady doesn't know that.
It's probably not my generation.
Brady's a Beyonce fan.
My generation.
Beyonce. No. 21 Pilots. 21 Pilots. I went to prom with the lead singer's sister.
What?
So yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So he says.
Anyway.
All right, hey John, I do one other question, unless anybody else has got something too, but do tell us, because I think this is very important. It's an outstanding book, but as you mentioned earlier, 100% of the proceeds of that book you have going to charities like Wednesday's Child. I think there's other ones that I've seen as well. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about those charities and or how you pick them?
The first time I did the book several years back, I just went through and would investigate certain charities, and I tried to cover the whole viewing area, not just right in Louisville. So like if we were getting a lot of orders from a town 30 or 40 miles away, I would see like we some community health clinics. We were able to donate money, and they would be able to buy medical supplies, flu shots, things like that. Now this last printing, WLKY took care of the printing costs, donated 100% of the printing costs. So, before what I would do, I would take out the money for the printing, and then anything over the printing, which was usually quite a bit, we would donate. But now this is 100%. So the chief charity with the WLKY is Wednesday's Child, and it's a feature every Wednesday. Organization that helps older children get adopted. Because some people don't like to. Think about adopting a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old or something like that. And this helps the family, and it helps with the whole process. But also, if I do a book signing locally, we'll do local charities around the area. Like coming up in a few weeks, I'm going up 30 miles up the road to Scottsburg, Indiana. The radio station there has an organization called We Care. They buy winter clothes for the needy kids. So they're getting ready for their big radiothon coming up. So I'm going to go up there and sell a bunch of books, and we're going to give all that money to buy some clothes for the kids there. So various things like that. That's what I really like about this, being able to help other people, help people out, and teach people how to predict the weather in the meantime.
John, that's good enough for me. I think just Belski for president. What do y'all think? Come on.
I'm going to write in Belski on my third-party code.
Thank you for tuning in to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. You can watch our bi-weekly show live on youtube.com/StormfrontFreaks and download the audio version on your favorite podcast player. For links to our Patreon team of exclusive benefits, show notes, past shows, new videos, merchandise, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. While you're there, check out our interactive chaser radar from our friends at zoomradar.com. If you'd like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Search for Stormfront Freaks. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.